Most manufacturers checking purchase orders in a spreadsheet discover an overdue delivery one of two ways. Someone on the shop floor asks where the material is, or a supplier eventually gets in touch to say there was a delay. Neither of those is early enough. This workflow template reads your PO tracker in Google Sheets every morning, compares each expected delivery date against today, and sends a Gmail alert listing every overdue PO, supplier name, PO number, and how many days overdue. It also writes overdue into a status column in the sheet so the problem is visible to anyone who opens it. No ERP, no vendor portal logins, just a spreadsheet you already maintain and an alert that actually goes out. Some of our prerequisites for today's tutorial video is a Google Sheet set up as a PO tracker. If you already have that, or if you're starting and creating one today, then follow us when we set up this PO tracker. And then we have our n8n instance and our credentials for Google Sheets and Gmail to connect to n8n. First up is that we're going to use n8n's built-in AI to generate the workflow structure that gives us a connected starting point in seconds. We then configure the credentials and refine the logic and the steps that follow. Open your n8n and then click here when you have already created a new workflow. We have our build with AI here, or the n8n AI magic sparkle icon here. Click that or click here. And then we're going to use the prompt that we have provided in our blog. You can copy and paste that in our step 1 and then click send. So this runs every morning at 6:30. It reads all rows from a Google Sheet called PO Tracker. Find rows where expected delivery date in the past is in the past and the status column is not received, closed, or canceled. So AI will generate a set of these connected nodes and we will configure it along the way. While AI is doing that, we're going to set up our PO tracker in our automations sheet. We are going to create a new tab here called PO tracker, and the required columns are PO number, supplier name, item or description, expected delivery date, and status. So these are the 5 columns that we require for this flow. And if you have different column names, that's all good. We can configure that as we go along in n8n. And then we're just going to provide some sample data here. Let's check first if our n8n AI has already built our workflow, and it has completed its build. We're just going to tidy that up. Okay, there are different steps to finalize our workflow, and these are these nodes that has these issues. So I'm gonna close that one, and then we're just going to look into the PO tracker, and then we're going to look for our automations document here in our PO tracker tab. So first of all, we need to make sure that you have your credentials set up in n8n. To create a new credential, click this drop down and create new credential and then sign in with Google. This will let you sign in, and then in a few steps, it will connect your Google account with your n8n account, and it will say that it's connected. So we're going to close that one. If you're all good, make sure that you have this kind of information here that says account connected. So that's all good. And you can also choose from your credentials here if that's all good. And our resource is a sheet within a document, and we get the rows of that sheet. So our document is automations and our sheet is PO tracker. All right, we're going to execute our first node. But before that, we're going to check if we already have our sample data in our automations. All right, we've got our PO numbers, our supplier name, item description, expected delivery date, and our status. We're just going to change a few here, make sure that it's beyond today's date so that we can flag some of these here. So two are pending that are still going to be detected by our trigger. Let's go back and execute this workflow here. That's all good. And then we're going to read the PO tracker and execute this step. As you can see, there are 10 items here. And we've got all of these. We haven't filtered those data yet or rows that were overdue. In the next step, we're going to filter overdue POs. Let's see our conditions, expected delivery date. Make sure that your JSON data fields here are all green, meaning it has detected data fields that were in the previous node and you're all good to go. And let's see, expected delivery date is less than now is true. And then and it's not equal to received or closed or canceled. Let's see. Oh, okay. Is a string but was expecting a boolean. We're going to enable this convert types where required. Since this is the wrong type, this was a string but was expecting boolean, and we're just going to try the recommendation here to enable convert types where required. Let's execute this step again, and that's all good. So we've kept 3 items which are pending, shipped, and pending, but is expected delivery date is before this day, meaning it should have been received by now, and we haven't received it yet. And then we've discarded 7 items, meaning these are not needed for the next steps. So we've got 3 items, and then we're going to calculate the days overdue here. There is a manual mapping. And then we've got fields to set, supplier, PO number, expected delivery date, days overdue, and row number. So we've got supplier name. These are all pre-filled by AI, and they've got that correctly. But make sure also when it's red, you can use your second node, which is our read PO tracker, to look into the field columns or the column names, and then you can drag and drop here when that's red. So we're just going to delete that one since these are all good. So expected delivery date, drag and drop, and we have got a formula here to calculate the dates overview. Let us execute this step. Okay. We've got all of this information here, and we've got days overdue and row number. So we've got 3, 8, and 0. So we've got 2 things here, and then we're going to loop overdue items. Actually, we are going to delete this one since we don't need this one, since n8n will execute for every row item that we have here. We're going to delete that one, and we're going to reconnect and tidy up our workflow here. We are going to update our status to overdue for these PO numbers. Automation, and then our PO tracker. And then we're going to map each column manually, and column to match on would be the PO number. And we're going to drag and drop from the previous node, calculate days overdue, the PO number here. Okay, it shows here one of those PO numbers. Our supplier name, we don't need to update those, as well as item or description. We just need to update the status to overdue. Okay, we're going to execute this step and see how that looks like. And we have updated the status for PO number 1001, 1002, and 1010 to overdue. Let's check our sheet. 1001 is overdue, 1002 is overdue, and 1010 is now set to overdue. Up next is our build code. This is a build summary. We're going to run once for all items based on the trigger that we have earlier. There were 3 items that were overdue, and then we're gonna build all of those into one output so that our Gmail node will be able to use that. So let's run this one and see if there are issues or it's all good. So we've got these overdue items here. There are 3 counts. These are all good thanks to our AI that assisted with our code. And then let's check this next node, which is send alert email, which sends an alert to our purchasing team or whoever that is. So let's just say purchasing at example.com. And our subject is overdue PO alert. And then we're going to use the JSON count here, which is 3. This is a JSON count, and then purchase orders overdue. So overdue PO alert, 3 purchase orders overdue. So this is the output here. And we're going to have an email type text. Let's see our preview here. So we've got the JSON summary here. In the markdown, you can see here the following purchase orders are overdue. And we're going to execute this step. This has been sent. Up next is to toggle the workflow to active. Test by temporarily changing an expected delivery date to yesterday in your sheet, triggering the workflow manually, and confirming the alert arrives and the status column updates. So what are things to watch out for? POs that were received but never marked closed. So if your team does not update the status column when a PO is received, the workflow will flag it as overdue indefinitely. Build the habit of marking received POs as received or closed when the material arrives. The workflow's closed statuses array in step 3 handles this automatically once the status is updated. Another thing is your expected delivery date stored as text instead of dates. If your team entered dates in formats like May 15 in words or a different format, the parser may misread them. Use the year, month, date format. If you cannot change the existing format, we can add a normalization line at the top of the code node. And another one is alert volume on the first run. If your PO tracker has accumulated many unresolved rows over the time, the first run may produce a large alert. Run the workflow first in test mode to review the output and clean up or close any already resolved POs before activating. You can also extend this workflow by adding a supplier contact lookup. If you maintain a separate supplier contact sheet with email addresses, you can add a Google Sheets lookup to pull the supplier's email and send them an automated follow-up. And escalate POs that are more than 5 days overdue or track overdue history. Instead of simply writing overdue to the status column, you can write the alert date alongside it, like overdue flag May 29th. This gives you a running record of when each PO was first flagged without needing a separate log sheet. Overdue PO alerts are one of the clearest automation wins for small manufacturers because the data is almost always ready in a spreadsheet. Teams just do not have anything checking it automatically. The consequence of not catching an overdue delivery is real: production delays, emergency sourcing, and the kind of reactive scramble that burns hours and goodwill. Let us know if you have any questions or concerns or tutorial videos that you would like to request from us. See you in our next video.